Hello, good morning, free spirit beaders. Kristen here with a new episode of Free Spirit Beading, and I'm on the Softlex Company YouTube channel. I am a graphic designer for Softlex Company, and I'm also a jewelry designer. You can find our products. We are a beading wire manufacturer at www.softlexcompany.com. Pamela says hello. Hi Pamela, nice to see you today. Anyone else watching, please feel free to say hello. I'd love to know who's on. So today we're going to talk about soft touch. Now, Softlex is our original beading wire. That's the one that most everyone is familiar with. And if you're not familiar with Softlex, let me know and I'll tell you a little more about that. But today I'm actually going to be talking about soft touch. So soft touch is our premium beading wire. We created this because we realized that we needed something on the market that was stronger than thread but felt like a thread, and that's where soft touch really shines. So what's Softlex? It's a stainless steel braided beading wire, and soft touch also is a stainless steel braided beading wire, but the manufacturing is a little bit different in that it produces a wire that is 50% softer. So what that means is it's going to have a lot more flexibility in its drape. So here you can see I've got this started on soft touch, and it's just like super duper soft and flexible. So people that love soft touch really use it. I always forget to shut off my sound. Sorry about that. People that love soft touch really use it almost exclusively because they want that thread-like feel. They want that really soft drape. And we're going to be using the fine diameter today, which is good for soft materials. It's good for seed beads. It's good for pearls and for your gemstones that have really tiny holes. We usually recommend using our medium 0.019 diameter. That's all purpose, but you're gonna have those instances where you're using really small, tiny, fine beads that just have holes that are too small for that 0.019, and that's when the 0.14 comes into play. So that's what we're gonna be doing today. I got started a little bit this weekend because of all the teeny tiny beads and holes. I didn't want you guys to have to sit here and watch me string a gazillion of them. So I started it this weekend and we will finish it together. I'm gonna go ahead and put you guys down on my beading table. Good morning, Jenny. Nice to see you here today. How was everybody's weekend? My weekend went a little too quickly. I had a lot of fun on Saturday, and then I had a million things to do on Sunday, just lots of house errand, all sorts of stuff. So it went a little too fast. Jenny says, fabulous, wonderful. I love fabulous weekends. It's so beautiful out. I hope next weekend I get to get outside and do something outside a little bit more than I did this weekend. All right, so here are our materials. So we've got our soft touch, fine 0.14 diameter in the satin silver color. So our soft touch wire only comes in this satin silver color, but it does come in 4 diameters. It comes in a 0.01 very fine, the 0.04, 0.014 fine, 0.019 medium, and 0.024 heavy. And all of our labels will say right on the label there what you'll see right here, this one says soft material, seed beads, and freshwater pearls. It's also really good for gemstones that have teeny tiny holes. And all of our labels will have a little bit of a note there to let you know what the best usage is for that particular wire. We also have all of that listed on our website at softflexcompany.com. If you click within each product, you will find all the details for the different diameters there as well. So we've got our cutters. We've got some regular crimping pliers today. I've got the 2x2 millimeter crimp tubes. And I've got a strand of chips. This was a 36-inch strand of multi-colored tourmaline chips. And these are some little rubellite gemstone beads. They are a smooth pear briolette shape. I've got some tiny little silver Delica beads, size 11. I have 2 of these connectors from TierraCast that have 2 holes on one side and 1 hole on the other. And I've got some bead stoppers. Always got to have my bead stoppers. And the bead stoppers sell in a 4-pack. If you are on our website, you get 4 of them. And what's Softflex saying? Softflex says also black and white colors in the soft touch very fine diameters. Yeah, that's the only other colors. Our very fine diameter is intended for embellishing, so beads to embroidery, clothing, things like that. So we've got it in the satin silver color as well as black and white. So if you're watching and you haven't said hello, say hi. Let me know if you know Softflex Company. Let me know if you've ever used or have heard of Soft Touch before. Pamela Jones says, I ordered some bead stoppers. I love them. I will order more. Yeah, once you start using them, you can't like be without them. They are amazing. I have them in, I prefer the larger size for most of the stuff I do, for any of my stringing, but I also use the little minis when I do things like the Kumihimo, where I have a lot of strands. But otherwise, I tend to use the regular size for most projects. Okay, so I'm just gonna dump out some of my chips onto the back side of a spool. I always see Sarah doing this little trick and I forget about it. But for this project, I remembered. It's one of those things, once you remember once, hopefully it'll click most other times. It just takes that first 1 or 2 times to remember to do it. All right, so there's a few chips. And I started this strand here yesterday, and I'm going to clip on a bead stopper on both ends of my strand so I do not lose it. But this is the strand I started yesterday, and I mean, you can see, like, look at how Soft Touch is just really, really bendy, whereas Softflex holds its shape a little more. So if you like that really soft thread-like bendy feel, you would love this product. Oh, and before I go any further, I should say we've got right now on the website, we've got a sale running where you buy one 30-foot spool of, especially this one 30-foot spool of the fine Soft Touch beading wire. You get your second one for 40% off. You just add 2 spools to your cart and the cart will automatically show you that discount. It is good for retail purchases only, and the sale ends tonight at midnight. Okay, so when looking at this particular design, I'm just going to show you guys what I did here. I had a graduated strand of these rubellite beads. So I put in the middle, the largest one, and then I put 2 tiny Delica beads on either side, and then I did 3 chips, and then I did another Delica bead, and then I did 3 chips, another Delica, and then another rubellite. And that was the pattern that I continued. So you've got seed bead, 3 chips, seed bead, well, Delica, I should say. Delica, 3 chips, Delica, 3 chips, Delica, rubellite, Delica, 3 chips, Delica, 3 chips, Delica, chips, rubellite. And I just did that because I liked how the little silver colored Delica beads really helped the strand of Tourmaline to pop a little bit. It just gave it a little bit of a little shine that I liked there. And I went all the way up to this last one here, did Delica, 3 chips, Delica, 3 chips, Delica, and then I just ran up a bunch of chips. And I didn't really count them because they're a little tough to count, but if I were to measure it, it looks like I did about 2.5 inches after the Delica of just chips. Chrissy says, pretty. Thank you, Chrissy. Yeah, you know, I've had these forever, but I don't think about the teeny tiny small beads a lot. So I tend to work in things that are a bit bigger and heavier, and I don't do a lot of this, you know, fine work, but it's coming out so pretty. I really like it. So this is gonna be my bottom strand. I'm gonna do a 2-strand design. So that's my bottom strand. And then I'm gonna work on this one with you. So this is what I got going for the second strand. So for the second strand, I've started out with about 25 Delicas. And then I just did a Delica and a chip. So after I strung on 25 Delicas of the silver colored, I just started doing chip, Delica, and alternating the whole time. So I'm gonna continue to work on that while I talk to you guys. So I don't use chips like this very often. Does anyone watching create with chips a lot? I always really liked the look of chips. I love the little organic shapes. And right now I'm just continuing my pattern of chip, Delica, chip, Delica. I'm really curious if anyone has a tip for stringing chips, especially when you're stringing a bunch in a row. Pamela asked, did I determine the pattern first or did it just happen? It did just happen. I sat and I spent quite a bit of time deciding what materials I wanted to use, what beads I wanted to use together, and I had like a handful of options. And then I narrowed down which ones I liked, and I just started stringing, and I definitely strung a few things and undid it a couple of times before I was happy with the pattern. That's just part of the the fun process, right? I like how sometimes with seed beads I can sort of have a bunch, like if I had a bunch on a strand, I can grab a bunch in my finger and then slide a strand of beading wire over it and a bunch of them go on at once. I was not able to do that with the chips. I was disappointed. I really felt I needed to do one at a time. So I'm wondering if anyone has a tip there. Chrissy says, I recently made a chip necklace for someone. Oh, wonderful. How did it go, Chrissy? Did it take you a long time? Did you enjoy the process of stringing all of those chips? You'll see they fall out of my hand quite a bit. I think, let me see if I can get in a better. And Emily says, I have a ton of gemstone chips in my stash, but haven't really designed with them in a while. Yeah, that's how I felt. I had like 3 or 4 different types of chips, and I think I'm always a little intimidated. Oh, that's a crimp. That's not a Delica. Don't mix my crimps with my Delicas. I think I've always been a little intimidated about stringing them all. So you used it with Kumihimo. That sounds really cool. What kind of braid did you do? Was it a round Kumihimo? Like the disc? And Softlex Company says, chips are always great for creating men's jewelry. Oh, that's a good point. You probably don't want little silver, as many little silver Delicas in between though, huh? Although some people might like the extra sparkle there. Gloria says, I just recently made a necklace bracelet with lapis chips. Turned out, oh, lapis chips must be super pretty. Turned out beautifully. And Jenny says, I don't use them a lot. I bought some in the live sale, so we'll be using chips on the horizon. I have some green ones, like peridot, and I think I want to try and make a tree, Jenny, like some people have shared. I do think James might be doing a video upcoming. I'm not sure when he has it planned, but I'm gonna hold on to those peridot chips, I think, to make a little tree. I've never done that. Emily says, yes, it was a round braid for the Kumihimo. And Pamela says, chips usually have very tiny holes. They do. I don't know that our 019 will get through. They probably get through some of them, but you know, with things like chips or most gemstones, the holes are not always drilled evenly. So there could be a possibility of you kind of having to run into chips that don't quite slide on those heavier wires. So that's why right now I'm using the 0.014 fine soft touch wire. Softlex says everybody loves sparkle. That is true. That is pretty true. Everybody does like a little sparkle. So has anyone on here tried our soft touch wire before, or have you heard of it before? Is it a new product to you? Chrissy says, yes, it took a long time. I had to redo the necklace. I had 3 chips in between its gemstone. Oh, and the number 3 is bad luck, so you put more chips between the stones. Oh my gosh, you had to redo the whole thing. Hey, that's interesting to know, especially because when designing things, 3 is kind of a nice number because it's not, you know, it's like a nice odd number. Maybe you should pop it up to 5 in the future. I didn't know that. Pamela says she has heard of it. I don't know if you guys have ever been to a Softflex booth at a show, but we do have all of the diameters always available, and between Soft Touch and Softflex right there in our booth to touch and feel. And that really is one of the best ways to feel the difference between the two wires, is to just see them side by side and give each one a feel. Let's see here. I think I'm getting close. Let's do a couple more and then I'll just string on some Delicas. So speaking of trade shows, we are going to be at a show in November in Oakland. Softflex Company will be at the Whole Bead Show, and that is at the Marriott City Center in Oakland on November 9th, 10th, and 11th. So if anyone is in the area, we would love to see you. Pamela says she has used Soft Touch to make a pair of long earrings, and she's also used chips. It was for the earrings that you made, she also used chips, and it was the only wire that would pass through them. Yeah, that can be pretty frustrating when you're working with a wire that is a little thicker, and I've had it before where I've done gemstones and it's fit most of them, and all of a sudden I've come across one that I was like, no, it will not go through, and I need it too. So when you're using these finer beads, going down a diameter is sometimes the way to go. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and just go to the Delicas now. So our Soft Touch wire is made with 21 strands of stainless steel micro braided, and then with a nylon coating, very similar to Softflex beading wire, but it has one more step in the process that gives it that extra flexibility and softness. Now when you're working with things like gemstones, crystals, and those kind of abrasive beads, even though they're tiny and they have little holes, you still want something strong. You know, when you're working with beads, especially ones that you've spent some money on to acquire, thread is eventually going to break down. It'll break down from the elements. It'll also break down from the beads rubbing around and rolling on the thread and cutting into it, which is why someone would opt to use a wire like Soft Touch in place of a thread. Jenny says, I love the wire you're using. I do. I love it too. I love all the Softflex colors, so I do tend to use a lot more Softflex medium than anything else because I just love incorporating the color. But when you are just doing a straight stringing project like this and you want that nice, really soft drape, there's nothing better. It's actually the most flexible beading wire on the market. 1, 2, 3. Gloria says, I've used Soft Touch before and I love how it flowed. I just checked my stash and I need to order some more like right now. Gloria, did you hear about the sale going on that ends today? I don't know if you were here in the beginning, but if you are in the market for some Soft Touch fine, we're having a sale that when you buy one 30-foot spool, you get the second spool for 40% off, and that ends tonight. Just put the 2 spools in your shopping cart and it will discount it right there for you. And getting that second spool 40% off is a huge discount. I mean, we don't really ever go that high on our wire. All right, let's see here. I lost count, so let me just give a quick count and see if I have the same amount of Delicas on each side. Well, it looks like I just need 2 more. Are you guys into like the meanings of stones and some of the energies and stuff that they hold? Because I have a little book here. I can read a little excerpt about Tourmaline, which is what I'm using today. I love to look that stuff up. I just think it's really fun and it kind of enhances what I make and sometimes help me decide who I end up giving something to. Jenny says, I have some garnet chips that I really need to use for something, just not sure what. Yes, I've got some, I still have some amethyst and peridot. Garnet might be pretty for a little tree or something too. Or those Tree of Life pendants would be neat. So what my plan is now is I'm gonna use these TierraCast. Oh, I've got some sun popping in on my table. Let me back up a little bit. Make it easier. Or maybe I'll go forward. Yeah, there we go. Sitting by a window, I sometimes have to move with the sun. So I've got these TierraCast little connectors that I'm gonna connect each strand on the bottom to, and then I'm gonna connect another strand on the top. So I'm gonna start with the longer strand. Just going to take my bead stopper off the one side, add a 2 by 2 millimeter crimp, string on one part of my connector and string this back. And I'm just going to take my bead stopper and I'm going to clip it towards the end of the wire right by the crimp. This way I can take a look at how this hangs without the fear of losing my beads. I'm going to do that on the other side, because you really want to be confident before you crimp, because you can't go back. Once you crimp, you are crimped, you are connected, you have to cut your wire. So that's another reason why I love the bead stoppers, is you can use them as you're trying to decide. So I just string my crimp tube on, passed my wire through the connector and back again, and now I'm going to take the bead stopper and clip it right next to the crimp so that I can look at the way that is hanging. I'm going to do the same thing with my second strand. What is the easiest way to make 2 strands even? Well, for this one I'm just winging it because it's only 2 strands. So I'm just going to see how I just lay them out like I had them on my bead mat while I'm designing to get it somewhere where it's close to where I think it needs to be. And then I'm gonna check with these crimps here to see how it hangs and if I have to make any adjustments. But if you have one of those old school bead boards, I have always found that when I'm doing something multi-strand, using a bead board has been really nice. This one has 3 strands that are available on this particular one, but that has always helped because of the measurements, and you can really lay all the beads out. You would do this before you string anything. But this design, I'm winging it. It actually was like a 3-strand necklace, and then it was a 3-strand bracelet idea, and now I'm down to a 2-strand necklace. So it's morphed as I've been designing. It's morphed into multiple things. So I just strung on my crimp tube. I'm gonna go back through this connector. And then I'm gonna clip on my bead stopper where that crimp is. And this way I can grab a hold of these little connectors here and just have a look at how that's gonna hang. And I'm just gonna pick it up off camera for a second. Yeah, I think that that'll work. Only thing I'm noticing is that when I hang this up, I have a little bit of a turn here, and I need to add a few more beads on this particular strand. So I'm gonna undo that bead stopper and take my wire back out. And this is why you wanna do a nice check before you crimp, and add a few more chips to this side of the strand so that my focal doesn't veer off to the side. My light is better today for doing these chips than it was last night, that's for sure. Making it a little easier to see where the hole is. Jewelry evolution, Jenny says. Yes, for sure. I always laugh how I sit down to make one thing and it's rarely the case that that's the actual thing that happens. Is once you get going, you feel, I don't want to do that. Oh, I'm going to change this. And just let it be. Just let it happen. I find that's so much more fun than getting frustrated that it's not working out in the way you originally planned, because sometimes things turn out better than planned. All right, I think we're good where we are now. So I'm gonna add in the crimp back. Crimp tube back on my wire. slide it through my connector. The soft touch doesn't seem to kink. Is that true? It, you know, if you really bend it, it will kink. It is still a wire, so if you really give it a hard bend, but if, like when I just pulled out the crimp tube and was able to restring on it, you didn't see anything real dramatic. It was kind of like a soft little bend in there. One little tip that has worked, I've never tried it on the soft touch, but I have tried it on my soft flex, is if you have a soft bend, you don't have something too dramatic, you can try using the nylon jaw pliers to give it a little, just give it a little help to see if you can straighten it out. The soft flex has a little bit thicker, I believe, nylon. I'm not sure, so don't quote me on that. But for some reason, I do feel like it works really well on our soft flex medium wire when I have a slight bend in it, to be able to use my nylon jaw pliers to get that out. But it is kink resistant. That is true. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead now and I'm going to use my regular crimping pliers to crimp this tool. You'll see this plier has 2 notches. It's got a back notch and a front notch. The little notch in the back is called your crimper, and the one in the front is called your rounder. You're going to take your crimp tube, and the first thing you should do before you're going to crimp, especially with the regular crimping pliers, is just check that your wires are lined up nicely so they're not crisscrossing. So the wire goes up and it goes around and back down this side of the crimp tube, so my wires are laying parallel instead of crossing. It's not a huge issue. Sometimes you'll notice it being an issue more than others, but it does when you do have the wire coming back through parallel. You will notice that your strand will hang a little bit nicer. If you ever make something and it's hanging kind of wonky and you don't understand why, it could be that when you crimped, you crossed the wires in a way that made it kind of not lay so nice. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put that crimp tube in my back notch, which is called the crimper, and just give it a squeeze. Like a firm handshake. You don't want to squeeze it super duper hard. You just want to squeeze it enough to make that divot in your crimp. And now I'm going to turn it 90 degrees. Place my crimp back in my crimper, just like that, so the divot's facing out. Give it another squeeze, and then I'm going to go, and I'm in the top part now in the rounder. I'm going to go around it a few more times to just cinch, let's see, cinch down into the wire and just give my crimp a nice rounded look. And then you'll use your cutters to trim off the excess. And I've got my first one. I'm going to do this one here next. And then before I do the 2 on the other side, I'm just going to check how it's laying one more time, because then it's final. So now we'll do the same thing. Place your crimp in that back notch. Give it a squeeze. Turn it 90 degrees. Give it another squeeze and go around a few times. It really tightens up your crimp. It helps it to grab into the nylon of the wire, and it also forms your tube a little bit nicely to go around a few times like that. can the magical crimper be used with soft touch? Pamela asks. Yes, Sarah did use the magical crimper with the fine soft touch on her video on our YouTube channel last week. I think that posted on Thursday of last week. She made a pair of earrings and she was able to use the magical crimper. The magical crimper does come from the manufacturer saying to use it with only with the medium 0.019 wire. So that is why I chose not to show it today, but she did successfully use it on the 0.014, so it does work. So yeah, you can use that one instead. Melanie says hello. Hi Melanie, I'm glad you made it too. We're talking today about soft touch. Have you ever used our soft touch wire? Our soft touch is 50% more flexible than our soft flex wire, but it's still a stainless steel product, micro braided and nylon coated, so it's very similar in that respect. It just has a softer feel and drape like thread. I'm just gonna pick up this design one more time and make sure I'm still feeling good about where everything's laying. Yeah, I am. Okay. Melanie says, no, just soft flex. Yeah, so soft flex is, as you know, very flexible as well, but it does have a little bit more of a wire feel to it than the soft touch does. So if you're doing something that is using beads and that you want to really make them drape similar to a thread, that's when you would use our soft touch wire. Our soft touch wire only comes in the satin silver color for most of the diameters, except for our very fine 0.010, which comes in white and black as well as the satin silver. And we're currently running a sale that ends today. Buy one 30-foot spool of the fine 0.014 soft touch and get your second for 40% off. And that's good until midnight tonight Pacific Standard Time. So just crimping down on this side, the one strand. Place your crimp in the back in that crimper again, the back notch. Give it one good squeeze, turn it on its side, put it in the rounder, give it another squeeze, and go around a few times. And then you just trim off your excess. So there we go. That is where my front of my necklace is going to be. Just like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach another strand up the back here, and that will connect to my clasp. I think I'll stop here though, because you guys don't need to see me string a whole bunch more of these teeny tiny chips and Delicas along the back side. I will share a picture of the finished piece. I can probably share it in the comments here on the video. And if you're in our VIB group, for those of you that are on Facebook, Softflex Company has a group called the Softflex VIB Studio Facebook group. And everyone's welcome to join. It's free. And we post a lot of things that a lot of reminders. People share pictures, ask questions, get help from one another, and I will go ahead and post the finished picture of this design in that group as well. So if you are on Facebook, you can look us up in the search bar and find us and just request to join, and we'd love to have you. Melanie says, Nice. I just received my emerald nuggets from Softlex. They are beautiful. Oh, wonderful. Have you ever made anything with nuggets before, Melanie? We were discussing that a little bit in the beginning. Oh, you're saying nuggets, not chips. Yeah, I love the nuggets. They are so cool. So these beads that I've used today are all Tourmaline. And just quickly, Tourmaline is known for purity and positivity. It's a powerful crystal of great immediacy, and it redirects the energy of the mind and the body. It fights fearlessness and eliminates long-held wounds from the past, leaving you renewed with a far greater clarity. So it's regarded as one of the best all-around healers and one of the most effective stones in helping with crisis, trauma, and pain. So I just love to know little things like that about the stones I'm working with, because it just kind of adds a little extra dimension to them. And if I was thinking about giving it to someone, it kind of adds a little history behind what the stones could mean and why I felt it was the right gift for someone. What do you guys think? Do you ever look up what the meaning of the stones are? I'm going to turn you back around. I just got for my birthday, a friend gave me a book full of information about stones. So Christy says, I looked up Botswana. Cool. Is Botswana a type of agate? Jenny says, all the time. I have 2 books. Oh, so fun. I love it. From Africa, yes. Oh, very cool. I'm trying to picture it. I know I've seen it. I know we've had it before. It's a really pretty agate. So here's where we're at on our design. So I will go ahead and see how we, so right now that's where my little connectors will be, is kind of back here on the sides of my neck. And I'll finish it up and I'll post pictures in the comments here on the video as well as in the VIB group. What did I miss? Denise, oh, did I miss everything? You did, I just finished, Denise, but you can watch the replay. When I end this video, I think it just takes a few minutes for it to actually load and post the replay. Sorry you missed us this morning. So there's just a couple of things I wanted to let you guys know. I did tell you about the sale, and that ends at midnight for our soft touch fine 30-foot spool. Buy one, get the second 40% off. We're also, Softlex is at the Whole Bead Show in Oakland on November 9th, 10th, and 11th. And, oh, here, this is what I needed. So today's what, the 22nd? So Wednesday, October 24th, Sarah's going to be doing a Facebook Live at 1 p.m. making a macrame bracelet. And in fact, next Monday, I plan to work with the macrame board as well and show you guys a macrame design next week. So I hope you'll come back and join me next Monday at 11. On the 25th of October, there's a new episode from James, Conversations in Wire. So that'll be on Thursday. Mine will be next Monday, October 29th. We'll have another Free Spirit Beading macrame episode. And then Sarah's gonna do a live video from the Whole Bead Show on October 30th on our Facebook page, Softlex Company. So that should be fun. If you guys have never been to a trade show, or even if you have, I mean, it's just really fun to see what's going on at the show and kind of get in on the action. So she's gonna do a live from the Whole Bead Show on the 30th. And then on October 31st, Sarah's gonna be doing the design challenge with the Black Magic jewelry kit. And that's also the day that we will be releasing our next monthly kit. She's on Facebook as well. So we've got a few Facebook Lives. We've got a new episode from James on Thursday here on YouTube, and a new episode from me next Monday here on YouTube. And I hope to see you guys there. Subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our videos. And I'll see you guys next week. Have a wonderful week. Great to talk to you. Bye.